All right, today we're going to tackle a really powerful AI technique that's quietly changing how companies get real value out of their own private data. It's called Retrieval Augmented Generation, but you're almost always just going to hear it called RAG. So let's start with a big, practical question. Imagine your company has, I don't know, half a terabyte of documents. That's everything from product specs, legal agreements, internal support chats. How in the world do you get an AI to answer questions using that specific information and not just the generic stuff it learned from the public internet? Well, the whole problem really comes down to a core limitation of the large language models, or LLMs, that power all these tools. See, they know a ton about the world in general, but when it comes to your world, they have a massive knowledge gap.
And this is where you see the fundamental mismatch, right? And LLM's knowledge, while it is absolutely huge, is static. It's like a photograph of the internet taken at one specific point in time. But your company's knowledge, it's the exact opposite. It's alive, it's dynamic, it's private, and it's growing every single day.
So that brings us to the million-dollar question. I mean, can you imagine trying to retrain a massive model like Gemini or GPT-4 on all your private data? It would be ridiculously expensive and incredibly complex. There's got to be a better way to give the AI access to your knowledge, and there is.
And that solution, that better way, is this really elegant architectural approach called RAG, for Retrieval Augmented Generation.
Okay, so in simple terms, RAG isn't some brand new, scary AI model. No, it's a clever system that connects a standard, off-the-shelf LLM to your own private, up-to-date knowledge base. It basically forces the AI to check its work against your facts before it's allowed to speak.
And that really gets to the heart of it. The key word here, the one you absolutely need to remember, is grounding. Instead of letting the AI just guess or, hallucinate where it just makes stuff up, RAG gives it the exact verified information it needs to build a truthful and relevant answer.
So how does it actually work? Well, the name itself is a fantastic clue. It gives us the 3 key steps in the whole process: retrieve, augment, and generate. Let's break those down.
Okay, but hold on. Before any of that real-time magic can happen, there's a super important one-time setup step we have to do first. We have to get our knowledge base ready for a lightning-fast search.
This whole process has 3 main parts. First up, we chunk our documents. We break them down into smaller, more manageable pieces. Next, we use an AI to convert each little chunk of text into a long string of numbers. That's called a vector embedding. Just think of it like this. It's turning the meaning of the words into a specific coordinate on a giant, complex map. And finally, we store all of these vector coordinates in a specialized vector database that's built for one thing: incredibly fast similarity searching.
Okay, so our data is all prepped. Now, here's what happens every single time a user asks a question. First, retrieve. We take the user's question, turn it into a vector, and then use semantic search to find the most relevant chunks of text from our database. It's not just looking for keywords, it's looking for things that have a similar meaning. Second, augment. We grab the original text from those chunks we just found, and we literally stuff it into the user's original prompt, creating a new, supercharged, context-rich prompt. And finally, generate. We send this new augmented prompt to the LLM, and we're basically telling it, hey, answer this question, but you are only allowed to use the information I've just handed you.
Now, this is a point that trips a lot of people up, so let's get really clear on it. When we pull that relevant information to send over to the AI, what are we actually sending? Is it those big, long arrays of numbers, or is it something else?
This is absolutely crucial to understand. The number vectors, they're just the search tool. Think of them like a super smart librarian who can find the exact right page in a billion-page library in a split second. But what we hand over to the LLM to actually read and understand, that's the original, human-readable, plain English text from your documents. That is the context it uses to build its answer.
All right, so now we get the basic flow. But this is where it gets really interesting and really fun. How do we make this thing not just work, but make it work powerfully?
Because look, getting a basic RAG system up and running, that's one thing. But getting it to give you consistently amazing, spot-on answers, that's a whole other ballgame. This is not a set-it-and-forget-it kind of deal. It's more like tuning a high-performance engine. Its real power comes from how you calibrate it for your specific needs.
So, here are the main dials you can turn to fine-tune its performance. The quality of your embeddings is critical, and that goes right back to your chunking strategy. The user's question matters a ton. In fact, some really slick systems even use another AI to rewrite a user's messy question into a perfect one before it even starts searching. How cool is that? You can also curate your data, maybe by preloading perfect answers to frequently asked questions. And finally, you just have to experiment with how much context you provide to the LLM to find that sweet spot for the best possible response.
For example, your chunking strategy has to be tailored to your data. It's not one size fits all. For something structured like a legal document, you'd probably want larger chunks with very little overlap to make sure you keep important clauses together. But for a messy conversational support transcript, you might chunk it down to the sentence level with high overlap, just to make sure you always capture that crucial back and forth context.
So if there's just one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this simple but really powerful analogy. RAG gives an AI an open book exam. Your private documents are the textbook, the only textbook allowed. And the AI is required to find the answer inside that book before it's allowed to say a word.
At the end of the day, what RAG really does is unlock the ability to create AI assistants that are grounded in your organization's unique reality, in your truth. So the final question is for you. Now that AI can be given this specific private knowledge, what problems are you going to solve?